This video is absolutely not a how to do this, because there are much better videos on SRAM's website on how to do this. This is but one of those things where if somebody like you have never done it before and you're wondering whether you can or how hard it really is, I think this video will show you that it really isn't that tough. It'll also show you some kind of stupid mistakes that you might make that the people at SRAM making the video couldn't conceive anybody doing something so dumb. The drivetrain on my bike was getting a little bit worn out. It's a 2016 and it's just an 11 speed, and I thought since I was replacing it, I'd kind of like a little bit more high end. Bottom end's fine, in other words the lowest gears are low enough for me, but the highest gears I find myself in 11th gear all the time, and it isn't quite enough. I'd like a little bit more speed. So what you want to do is find a calculator like this one, and this one at gearcalculator.com is by far the best that I've found. It'll let you compare different drivetrains. You can see the top line was my current setup, which was a 11 to 42, and I was running a 30-tooth chainring on the front. And I'm going to switch it up to a 32 tooth chainring in the front, but a 12 speed in the back. And the 12 speed goes from 9 up to 46, which is an E13 cassette. You can see the results from this calculator. It will give me a little bit lower gear in the 46 tooth chainring in the back, but it'll give me a much faster high gear in 12 speed up there, which is what I'm interested in doing. So using the cartridge tool, I removed the old 11 speed cassette. Then I've put the TRS, or the E13 comes in two pieces. This part goes on to the hub, and these are XD hubs. And then there's an Allen on here, which I tighten. It's supposed to be tightened to 3 Newton meters, which I'm really not sure. That's not very much. So I've got that tightened down. Now we're going to put, you can see this one. Let me see if I can show you that better. Alright, so the smaller rings have, at least on the second generation one, basically have these notches right here that will, just a second, yeah, okay, so you can see these cams right here then that are going to fit into these slots here, and then we're going to lock it in place and put in an Allen screw to make sure it stays tight. There. Okay, you don't even need the chain whip tool to get it locked into place. Alright, and then we can just put the screw in there. In case anyone's wondering whether it's worth spending the extra money on an XX1 compared to an XO, if you're doing it for weight savings, I gotta say no. Here's the 11 speed XO, 110 grams, and the 12 speed XX1, 107 and a half, 108. So 2 or 3 grams, no, that's not going to make any difference. Alright, this is a total novice thing to do. I looked in here and I just didn't see any place where the cable would fit. Then I realized that it's not in the right place, that I have to move this back. Now there's that place that the cable slides into, so I'm going to do that. Alright, got that end pulled in there nice and snug. I can put the cover back on. Alright, interestingly, I've discovered that this sheath for the shifter cable is all one sheath that goes all the way through here, so I just pulled the old cable out. I'm going to stick a new cable in there. Hopefully I can poke it all the way through. Seems to be going just fine. Hey, made it through. Awesome. Alright, this little bit came off of the shifter here. So I took that off, and that I am going to put back onto the new one, the new 12 speed, so that I got a way to mount it. Alright, I just did 2 more stupid things that you don't have to do. So I was trying to figure out how to make this go on here, and I had that little bracket on here, but it wouldn't really fit. And the reason is that this one, which I bought used, has no screw here, and I screwed it into that one. Let me show you the one I took off. It was using this one, so I had this bracket on the wrong screw, so I'm going to switch that over. The other dumb thing I did was I don't know where this screw came from now, but I was trying to use that, and that just goes right through this hole, and I couldn't quite figure it out, and then I realized that it's this one that I should be using. So don't do that. Aha. There. So make sure that's stuck in the end there, and we got this good and tight. Now we can put on our rear derailleur somehow. I got to read about that. Wow, just look at this beauty. So this is the 12-speed. Honestly, I don't know what red is, but it's red. And there's no instructions. It says this part, so I got it mounted on there. Now I'm gonna run my cable through here. Make it go around this wheel. I hope. Yeah. I think this will lock. There we go. So I can just get it at the right angle. I think this thing will lock up here. This one's got a little lock on here. If I push that, that'll stay out of the way. That will enable me to bring the cable through this other part here and out here. I'm just going to leave this long for now. Decided I'm just going to go with a 32, so I took the cranks off, which I found are sort of like self-puller on it, which is super nice. So I was able to just unbolt it and it came off. But now I have no idea how this chain ring comes off. Now that I'm looking at it a little more closely, I can see that so the inside star pattern fits on the bottom bracket axle, and then there's another star pattern on the outside, and I suppose if I have the right tool that fits in there, this thing will unscrew. I bet that's how it works. I was just digging through my specialized bike tools, and we got a lot of things that look similar, and actually this thing, which is ancient, I don't even know what it is, seems to fit in there. Maybe I bought it for this, but I think that's going to fit in there, so I'm going to try to make sure it's snug in there and see if I can spin this off. Ha! Right, well, I got it. So that is I guess what that tool is for. Okay, I was able to find a chain link here that the chain isn't too long, so when it's on the lowest one, this is flopped all the way back, and yet it also isn't too short that when it's on the big chain ring in the back, that it's going to be too tight. There isn't going to be, like only one specific length that is going to work. It's going to be a range. I took off that much, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 links. Oof, oh boy. I did 14, and this is what it looks like when it's on its smallest ring. I think I probably could have done 12, kept it a little bit longer. Let's just shift it into, I already did this, it worked fine, but let me just show you. So it's making it just fine, I guess, up into that top one, and there's still even a little play, but it's maybe a little tighter, a couple links tighter than maybe I'd like. So maybe instead of, well, you're gonna have to measure it yourself. I don't know why it got off so much on the bottom one, frankly, but it did. But this should work. So now I'm gonna just dial it in. I guess with my barrel, although it seems to be working pretty well. Again, I was able to get the cable set in the right spot by following the directions from the guy, and basically just normally what I always do, and that is, well, I'll let you figure it out, but this is what my chain gap tool looks like, which is totally different than the one in the video. The problem with this is that, and so this is supposed to clip on the top ring, is that it is made for a 50 or 52 tooth ring, and I'm using a 46, so I don't think it's going to be calibrated properly. So there's an alternative method to adjust it without this tool, and I'll show you that. That's just basically checking to see the distance between this bottom pulley and the last ring. So you adjust it with this screw on the back, and you can see you're supposed to have someone sit on it. So when I do my final adjustments, I'll have someone sit on it so it's sagging. If I'm screwing this in, it's going to pull this down. And it turns out that the width of this chain is 3 millimeters, just about, a little bit more, but close enough. So let's see if I can. I think that's just about right. A little bit more down. And when it's sagging, when someone's sitting on it, it's going to come up this way, so that's going to pull the chain back that way, pull this up a bit. So I'm going to just put it down a little bit more to where it probably is going to sit. And the video on, if you Google or on YouTube, look up SRAM derailleur adjustment as opposed to installation, you'll get the video for the new tool. So fundamentally, I know I've got it basically in the right position. I know these limit screws back here, the high and low, are adjusted properly because it's not coming off the bottom, it's not going over the top. Now that I've got the derailleur adjusted properly, you can see that the chain, in fact, isn't too short. I think it's probably just about right. So this is what it looks like in the top gear, the 9 tooth. And in that 46 tooth, you can see that it's not too short either. I mean, there's a little bit of extra room here. Even though it was raining pretty hard, I had to take it out and give it a try. I really, really like it. It works great. Everything shifts really well all the way up and down, even under extreme load. I can be hammering up a hill and shift into a lower gear without any trouble. I can go a lot faster. I didn't get top speed yet because I don't have a long enough hill, but definitely will go faster. And the little bit of extra low gear is really helpful too. I think overall, really pleased.